Hi everyone, welcome back to Brook Valley Life, or hello for the first time. Now I think we're on episode 4 of the beginner's guide to setting up an Olympic recurve bow. And I'm saying Olympic recurve because now we're going on to the other bits that we put onto an Olympic recurve. So some of the peripherals. And today what we're going to look at is our clicker and our sight. And then in the next video we will look at dampers, stabilizers and slings as well. So stay with me, this is going to be a great video. Hopefully give a little bit of knowledge to everyone, and let's go and get these bits on the bow. Hi everyone, and here we have our bow as far as we've got so far. We've got our riser, we've got our limbs that are all aligned, they're in place, they're in about the halfway position. I've not checked the draw weight. We won't do that until we start to tune the bow. And that'll be after we've looked at arrows and what we're going to be shooting. We know the draw weight of our limbs, and we can adjust for our arrows. We've put the string on. Knocking point, I will talk a little bit about knocking point when we come to looking at the arrows. We've set our tiller. At the moment my tiller's neutral, so it's same top and bottom. That's how I usually shoot. But we can check it and see how the bow shoots, how it sounds. Brace height, about 23.5 centimeters. For all of our people somewhere else in the world called America, 23.5 is around 9 and so that'll be a half, that'll be a quarter, 9 3/8. Anyway, don't do that. We've put our button on. Hopefully you can see that just there. We've set our center shot, so we know how our arrow is going to sit. We've got our arrow rest in place. And now we're going to put all the other stuff on. Well, not all the other stuff, but some of the other stuff. So come with me and let's go and see what we've got. So here we have what we're going to be putting on to the bow. And let's start with our clicker. Now what we've got is a carbon clicker, and I'm using the Nika ones at the moment. What it is just a piece of carbon, and as you can see, with a slot. And on that slot you've got a little Allen headed screw with this tiny thumb wheel that the screw fits inside. You've got the screw thread and you've got a small rubber washer. Now it comes down to the end, and on the end this has got a little aluminium tip, so when it hits the clicker plate it makes a nice sharp sound. The other thing we have today is our recurve sight. And I'm just using a cheap Nika recurve sight. This is the 9-inch version, and it's got micro adjustment up and down, and it's also got the windage in and out. And what I've done is I've put a toe point sight pin, and as you can see it's got a little fiber optic in there that's nice and bright, and I'm inside at the moment. Oh, it doesn't want to focus. And it's still nice and bright. Now this thing is incredibly cheap. I've shot it a few times now and it's not come loose, which I was very surprised at. It looks very much like the old Cartel sight, and Nika have even turned around and said it is for beginners. But I might well be shooting this for some competitions, you never know. I usually shoot a Sherlock, which is anywhere between $200 and $300 US when they came out, and they're very, very good sights. It comes with a sight block that's bolted onto your riser, and the sight bar actually fits in through there, and you can tighten it up at different lengths. Further out you go, the longer now let me get this right, the closer in, the longer distances you can shoot. Further out, yeah, the closer you have to, or you can shoot, so you can find whatever you like. So if I'm shooting, say, 90 meters, which is the furthest I have to shoot, I would most probably come in a bit depending on how much room I've got up and down. When we look at shooting, you'll see what I mean about that. But it gives you a wide range, and what it will allow you to do, you'll notice there's numbers on there. There's also on the side there, hopefully you can see there's a little gauge from 0 all the way down to 13. So you can set sight marks at different distances. So say I'm shooting, as I said, 90 meters, I might have the sight pinned down really low, around 12, 13. But if I'm shooting 18 meters, I may be up at 1 and 2. Excuse me, I'm still a bit snotty from my special flu that I've had. But yeah, it's getting better. So what should we do? Let's take all our equipment now and put it onto our bow and see how it works. So here is our riser. And I'll just stick it on the edge there, so hopefully everyone can see what I'm doing. Let me just spin you around a fraction. There we go, get you in the middle. Nice. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the right size Allen key to fit into our screws. And I've done that already, and here we go. This one fits in. Now on a lot of risers, it will come with two actual positions where you can put the screw hole or the screw into. This one's got a single one. If you just stay there, and I'll go and get another riser. So here is my Junxing H7, and hopefully you can see this has two positions where we could put a clicker. Hopefully that's showing up just there. Yeah, the two positions. However, my Protoss has got the one, makes it easier for us. So what we do is we take our clicker, we line it up with the hole, and we screw it in. Now remember I said there was a slot so it could move up and down, and it can actually, and see, oh, in fact there's two slots. And what we want to do is we want to get our clicker in a position where it's covering the whole of the clicker plate, and then we can screw it up to make it in the well, tight actually, or tightish. At the moment we're not setting the length of it, because remember that this is a draw stop, so the arrow is going to fit behind it, and as we draw it, it'll get to a certain point and it'll click. So what's going to happen is our arrow will sit on our rest, and as it comes through it will do that, it will click, and then we release and away she goes. So all we're going to do for now is we're going to tighten this up. Oops, sorry if I just knocked you. And this is quite good because you can get it nice and tight, and there we go. And this won't budge. Now I've not had any issues with this pulling through. That's our clicker on the bow. As I said, we've not set it yet, and this clicker plate has got graduations on it as well, so you can actually see where you're putting it. Next we're going to put on the sight pin block. Let's turn this around, and hopefully you can see here there's two positions for your sight pin block, and that's exactly how it's going to sit. Now some bows have more, some bows have the same. This T-bow, or should I say the Junxing H7, has only got the two holes. I do I have any? I know that the compound bows have quite a few holes, so you can move it up and down, but on a recurve it's usually standard as just having the two holes, because once they're in position, sweet. So we'll take out the lock nut for locking the bar in. We'll take our block and we will line up the holes, and all we're going to do is screw them in. If I use the correct Allen key, there we go, 1 and 2. Now as a quick tip, so that's one in, wait there, I want to show you a quick tip. Now this is something that's not usually talked about. This is bow wax. This is for your string. Now what I do is I take my bow wax, I push it out, and I put a little bit, just a little bit, like that, onto my screws. Now I do this on most of my stuff actually. Anywhere there's a screw, I put some bow wax. Why do I do that? Well, it acts a lot like Loctite and it stops anything from coming undone due to vibration. It smooths it out, it lubricates it, makes it easier to take it in and out as well. But once they're in, I've never, since I've been doing that, had a screw come undone. Now our sight. You'll notice here that there's a little Allen headed screw there, and there's also two there. And what you can do is you can actually take all of this apart. Take those two out and the front bar comes off. Take this one on the side and this bar comes off that way. So you can actually take it apart fully. And then you, if needs be, you can put it back together if you're not happy with the way this is shooting, because if you're changing distances, like you're doing a 1440 feet a shoot where you shoot 90 for, this is men, 90 meters, 70 meters, 50 meters and 30 meters. As you actually bring the sight pin down, i.e., let me just loosen this off. As you bring the sight pin down like that to go to your different distances, what can happen is if this bar isn't straight with your bow, the arrows can go off to the side. So what you can do is you can actually set this up by loosening these off, just moving it slightly because there is a bit of play in them, and then putting them all back in. You can move this, hopefully you can see there's screw holes here, so you can actually move it up and down. So if you're shooting, excuse me, 70 meters, 90 meters with a lightweight bow, you can actually move this down or up. So your sight picture is going to be still on this bar. Same as if you're shooting short distances, 18 meters, say indoors. You can move your sight pin or your bar up, therefore your sight pin will be in the middle. When we have a look at actually setting up our sight, I'll show you what I'm talking about with that. So how do we do this to get it on? We just slide it into the slot on our holder. I will put it into number 2, and because this has got a really nice mark both sides, we can then put in our lock screw, do it up, and it is as simple as that. We now have our sight on with our sight block that can move up and down. So here we've got our micro adjustment. It's an adjustment up and down. We can either have it fast, which will just slide all the way up and down, hopefully you can see this, or you can actually move it up a click at a time. So when you ever, or if you ever watch the Olympics or the World Cups and they say, oh, they're putting on a few clicks, hopefully you can hear that click, click, click. This is what they're talking about. And it can go up and down and also windage. And windage, all that means is if it's windy, instead of aiming off, you can actually move your sight pin in and out to adjust for where your arrows are hitting. And when we look at the sights and aiming and stuff like that, we'll talk about how we actually do that for our bow. So that's it for this video. We have now virtually done everything we need apart from our dampers, which is our stabilizers and some extra dampers, apart from our sling as well, and it all depends on what everyone wants to use. But there is our bow set up. We have our clicker, we have our sight, we have our button, we have our rest, limbs are in, all aligned, everything's working well. I will talk next time, or just after next time, and then the one after that when we look at arrows, about our knocking points, where they go, or what I liked for them, and how we can test where it's sitting. So our sight, our clicker, all on, all nice and tight, all ready to shoot. As I say, a lot of people start there with their bow, but if you've got the stabilizers and the dampers and stuff like that, next time I will show you where we put them, why we put them, and what difference do they make. Do we actually need them? Do we need these? Do we need sights? If you're a bare bower, they would say, no, you don't need all these extra peripherals. Take that off, and away you go. And it will shoot fine. But I like to aim at things. I like to be a bit more accurate, but that's just me. Traditional, usually use a one-piece bow, recurve, but it's all using the same technique from the guy who's got a traditional recurve bow to an Olympic recurve archer. The bows work the same way. So if you've liked this video, please hit that like, subscribe, all the other good things. Leave a comment. Yeah, what bow have you got? Are you bare bow? Are you traditional? Are you Olympic recurve? If you are, what do you use? What equipment do you have? As you can see, I've put this Nika bow together. It's not all Nika, but it is all Chinese at the moment. There's a reason why I say that. It's relatively inexpensive compared to the big brands, the Hoyts, the Win & Win, the Fivics. They're your main brands, the Ukas even, because you can get Uka risers, Uka limbs, and they're mega expensive. Axel make fantastic sights, again, mega expensive, but they do the same as this. But do they do it better? Depends on the shooter. But you're not going to see someone shooting this bow at the Olympics or the World Cup. Why? Because these guys don't sponsor anyone, whereas all of the big brands do. They want their bow, their equipment shown on the big stage to sell more stuff. Anyway, that's me for today. I will catch you next time. Keep shooting and have a great day. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.